Hey friends, Daily Dub Saturday edition, Saturday of Toy Fair edition. A big day for a lot of folks watching this channel, and for others, not a big day. I'm sitting here on my parents' back porch. Got a lovely view, if you can see out there, of the woods and the backyard. And I'm going to cover a few questions today. Quick note, these are actually the final questions that I've had in the comments that either I've answered on a Daily Dub or I have answered in the comments section, like when I reply to you. And this is episode 30, 30. And that's all the questions. So I got some ideas for some other things to do on some daily episodes. And then I have other things I'd like to talk about that maybe aren't being asked. But please, in the comments below, leave some questions if there are some things that you would like to see me talk about. So let's get started with the questions that we have. So from Caden, what are the top 5 cities I visited and why? From Mike and Kelly in Orlando, what are the best food places in the places I visited? So I'm going to combine those because typically food's going to drive why I like to visit a place. You know, I'm not youth medium. And then from Night of Ren, my favorite rental car that I've driven. And I will say before I get started, if I have missed one of your questions, it's not intentional, so let me know again, and I'll try to cover it. So the easy one from Night of Ren, my favorite rental car I've driven, it's actually very recently, Cadillac CTS. It's fully loaded. It was fabulous. I'm in a rocking chair. I'm rocking it. I just had it in Ohio when I was just recently there. In fact, just the most recent Dub Life episode from last Sunday is when I had that car, and it's awesome. I love that car. Just big, powerful, lots of room, very comfortable for me, all the features you needed. I could see myself owning that one day. Even though I drive SUV now, and I like my car very much, I'll probably keep driving that for a while. But now let's get to the top 5 cities and the foods related to them. So I'm not going to talk about Boston or New York City or even Dallas. I go to the cities a lot, especially Boston, New York City. I go there a lot. There's lots of great food there. There's lots of good reasons to visit there. I actually don't love going to those. Dallas, I still don't mind going to, but I go to Boston, New York so much that I'm just kind of over it. But they're lovely cities. And especially I like being in New England. I like being in the countryside around New York City. But, you know, there's just only so often that I want to go deal with all the people there. You know, I'm a old Southern boy from Georgia, so only so much time I want to do that. But these are in no order, okay? No order. So we're going to start Chicago. Chicago, I think, that actually may be my favorite place to visit for short periods of time. The difference in Chicago and New York and Boston, I have not been to Chicago as many times. I've probably been to Chicago 8 or 10 times in my life, whereas I go to Boston, New York 8 or 10 times a year. But the folks there are nicer. They're, you know, you hear about Midwestern hospitality or whatever. They're closer to what I'm used to in the South. People are typically more positive, but also they focus on nature. Like they spend a lot of money. If you walk down the Magnificent Mile, prime real estate, curbside, it's flowers and gardens and stuff in front of the shops instead of just piling in more and more retail space. And you feel that. The sidewalks are wider. There's more space to walk around. And it just feels like a nicer place. I love the architecture of Chicago. That stems from the Chicago Fire, and they brought in all the great architects of the world, and they got to rebuild everything, and I just think that's really cool. So I really like visiting there. The food is fantastic. You get some of the best steak in the world in Chicago, in my opinion. I love an Italian beef sandwich for lunch, and Chicago-style pizza is by far my favorite pizza. You saw, if you watch my Instagram, you see that I've gone to a lot of Chicago places. We just got a new one in Atlanta, Gino's East in Atlanta, which is exciting. And Lou Malnati's, the butter crust with the sausage patty, is the best pizza in the world. I love it. So Chicago. The next one is actually not in America. It is in the Philippines, and that is Manila. I've been to Manila twice in my life. Once I was in Manila for almost 2 weeks for work. The thing I like about Manila is it looks and feels similar to New York City. It's a humongous city, skyscrapers, all of that stuff. It's similar in the boroughs in that they have the different, I think they're called business districts. I don't remember what they're called, but there's kind of the different pockets of cities within metropolitan Manila, and that's kind of cool. but the people are so, so nice. And you're in, if you're an American, an international place, but everybody primarily speaks English. They also speak Tagalog, and they may speak Spanish and different things like that, but most people there speak English. And so you don't feel as uncomfortable if you don't speak another language, meaning if I need to ask somebody for help, someone I can find can understand me. So that's kind of cool. But also the food in the Philippines is great. Some of the best ramen I've ever had, maybe the best ramen I've ever had. I had their chicken adobo. It was fantastic. Our host prepared that for us fresh, and it was delicious. And of course, when I was in Manila, I did eat the balut egg. Not on my favorite list of foods, but I did eat it. If you ever want to see a video of that, it's no good. The next city, Missoula, Montana. I went there middle of last year. I started in Spokane, Washington, and I drove down. I think it's down. It's kind of southeast slightly. Into Missoula. I drove across the Idaho Panhandle, and it was the most beautiful drive I've ever had in my life. I drove through an area that was called Coeur d'Alene, I think. Coeur d'Alene Lake. And it was, you're up on a mountain, and there's this gorgeous lake around you. It's on, I have a video of it when I was there. I think it's before I started doing Dub Lives. But it is just magnificent, the views that you see out there. And the sky, it's the reason it's called Big Sky Country. I saw the most amazing sunset I've ever seen. It was just beautiful all around. And it was a day trip. I drove and drove back. I was like 6 hours on the road that day. But it was beautiful. And I had the best burnt ends brisket at a barbecue place there that I've ever had. They didn't have anything in the form of collectible shops. They had one little comic store, but it was just beautiful, all around beautiful. So that was a good one. Another kind of smaller one, Wausau, Wisconsin. Up in central Wisconsin is a place that I go through every once in a while now. I had never been to Wisconsin until last year, and it's beautiful up there too. You go through a lot of flatlands. I usually fly into Green Bay, and then you drive a couple hours to get there. Lots of flatlands, and then suddenly there's this nice ski mountain in Wausau. It's just gorgeous. Even when we were just there in the wintertime, all the lakes are frozen over. You see people with their ice villages, and they are, you know, drilling down in the ice and fishing, and they've got the, whatever it's called, their little shanty, stand on the ice. That's not for me, but it's really cool to see. And like the snow-covered stuff is just beautiful. And then all the dairy farms there make it unbelievable. So the cheese curds in Wisconsin are just, oh, whew. And next time I go, or one of the next times I go, I want to actually spend considerable time at a dairy farm and do the tour and all that. That sounds great. My final city that I haven't been to in a couple years, but I will be at again this year, San Francisco. Probably my second favorite big city to visit after Chicago. And I just think it's beautiful. I'm a guy that likes looking out at the water. If you haven't realized by now, I'm fairly hyper-minded. I could be ADD. I've certainly got OCD in me. And my mind is always moving 1,000 times faster than I'm able to articulate. And so the thing that helps me is water. It's why I like to vacation at the beach when we go to Myrtle Beach, because I can look at the ocean, and because it's endless and just continues, it puts my mind at peace, and it helps me to calm down and not be so overactive. And even just right out here, my parents have the stream in the backyard, and they have a bench, and I like to go sit down there and look at that because it puts me at peace. So you can go out to the piers and sit by the water there in San Francisco, and it's incredible. It's just a beautiful view. You've got the Golden Gate Bridge and all of that. You've got the seals, that area with the seals, but then the food in San Francisco is top-notch. You can get the clam chowder. We're in the sourdough bread bowl right there by the water. Is so good. And then you get all this fresh seafood that's come right out of the water. And then like the Ghirardelli chocolate headquarters there. Whew. Ooh, that's just where it's at. So, and not to mention Mission tacos from the Mission District. And the weather's usually really good there. A lot of the other places, Wausau, Missoula, Chicago, Manila, all are not good weather, good chunks of the year. San Francisco tends to have pretty good weather from what I understand. I don't think I've ever been there and it's been not a good weather day. So hopefully that answers your question of 5 favorite cities I visit and some of my favorite foods or the reasons I like to visit, and then also the rental car. So again, I think I've answered all the questions that have been asked. That doesn't mean there aren't more. I haven't made a video over all of them. Some of them I reply to you in the comments if it's, it doesn't fit with another video, or I just want to answer it because it's something easy to answer. So please leave some more comments. I do have some concepts for what I'd like to do, maybe starting next week. We'll see how it goes. But I've been every day now for, I think, over 5 weeks. So this is completing my 5th week of uploading every day. A lot of days, not a lot, but 4 or 5 days more than once, plus live streams and everything else. So I hope you're enjoying the content. Anyway, it's a beautiful day here in Georgia. I'm going to enjoy it with my family. Here for my mom's birthday. We had a great birthday dinner last night. Old McDonald Fish Camp. Follow me on Instagram, BigDub60, if you want to see more of that. But I appreciate you. We had fun in our live stream a few days ago on Valentine's Day. We live streamed for 5 hours. It was good times. So let me know your comments and questions, what you think, and I'll see you next time. Let's see, do I have anything? Well, I don't want to take anything from my mom and get put on punishment, so we'll say it quietly. Squeeze it.